this video is actually going to be more complicated than I thought it was going to be, because I'm going to have to do a preamble explaining what incels actually are and the three different common usages of the term incel and what context those terms are used. I'm going to have to do a little brief preamble on looksism as well, because that's the core of the incel ideology. So, Roma Army, who I'm going to call Chloe for the rest of this video, did a video on incels, and it's a smear job on the MRM. But I'll get into that, and I'll reply to the video. But let's explain the three most common usages of the term incel. So there's the smear term, incel, and it's often used as a thought terminating cliche, disparagement, dehumanization, ostracization of othering term. Okay, so for example, I've been called an incel for objecting to male genital mutilation, circumcision of baby boys. I've had people go, you, you're obsessed with baby dick, you know, you can't get a girl, you can't get a girlfriend, you know, because obviously someone who can't get a girlfriend, they're going to be interested in activism, right? That's the motive for someone to be an activist, because he can't get a girlfriend. Obviously, like, what complete nonsense! If you could like if you actually encounter a real ideological incels, legitimate incels, you'd realise they don't give a fuck about men's rights. The vast majority of them. That's why there's hardly any incels in the men's rights community. Okay, so there's a smear term for incels. Now there's a descriptive term for incels that just means sexless man. You can't get a relationship. Now this term is actually confusing. It's not quite clarified or clear, because there's a fundamental misunderstanding about male sexuality and what men actually want from women. You see, there's actually almost no such thing as a sexless man, right? Unless he's completely flat out broke. Like, even a poor man could afford to get a prostitute a few times a month, right? Okay, so yeah, so it can't mean involuntarily celibate. It can't mean sexless in and of itself. It means relationshipless with a woman. It's a man who can't get a long-term relationship with a woman. That's what incel actually means, logically speaking. That's what it should mean, because the descriptive use of the term involuntarily celibate, it's nonsense. There's hardly anyone who's involuntarily celibate. They might be involuntarily celibate for the type of sex you want to get. You might not want to be banging a prostitute, or you might not want to be stuck with your ugly girlfriend. You'd rather be banging someone more attractive, right? Some men take what they get, right? Like, men want a woman they got chemistry with, and they got good pheromones, and they're decent looking, right? And obviously, most men don't want a high conflict, aggressive woman either. So, but most men who are in relationships are in a similar boat, or in the same boat as the incels. They're not getting the sex that they want, right? They're not getting the intimacy they want. And there's many men in sexless relationships. A lot of men get married and the sex gets cut off, because the sex was a law to get them sucked in. Then the woman just cuts it off like a tap. Tap's turned off. So that's the descriptive term incel. It's a confused term. That's why I don't like using it like that. Okay. And also, it's often used in the same way as a smear term as well. Oh, you're sexless, you can't get laid. But it's not a good descriptive term for relationshipless males. Okay. And there's the other type. There's the final usage of the term, which people don't seem to understand. This is actually the correct usage of the term incel, how it should be used, because it's actually, there's an incel ideology. Okay, the incel ideology, and the incel ideology is black pill and looksism. Okay, people believe in that, and people self-identify as that. There's many people who don't self-identify as incels, and they get sucked into the looksism ideology. Looksism is complete nonsense. I know from life experience. I'm not bad looking myself. I've interacted with good looking men. I've interacted with ugly men. I've interacted with ugly women. I've interacted with good looking women. I've had a few short term relationships, right? And they've broken down for me. And I don't want to go into it too much, but I've just noticed relationship health for me has always been linked to my success in life. It's not been linked to my looks. It's nothing to do with the shape of my jaw, right? It's nothing to do with how tall I am, okay? It's to do with my status as a man. And so for example, there's been a few times. I try not to get too anecdotal, but I'll have this last anecdote, and I'll end talking about myself too much. But there's been a few times where I've worn a suit, a very smart, expensive suit. I don't wear it very often. I don't own one right now. I'm not interested in owning one right now, and I don't need to own one right now. But there's a few times when I've been looking for job interviews and I've worn an expensive, smart suit. Okay, and that's when I got the most glances from women. Like there's one particular girl, like 19, 20, from Thailand or in some Asian country. She was fucking gorgeous. But like she did that long, lingering, small glance at me because I was wearing a smart suit. Like you remember a glance from a good-looking woman like that, right? Like when I'm wearing my normal clothes, what I always wear now because I don't wear stuff like that anymore. Women don't even glance at me twice. They don't glance at me twice, right? So there's plenty of ugly men with girlfriends and wives, and there's plenty of good-looking men without them. I know, I know decent-looking, good-looking men who self-identify as incels, and they can't get the girl, right? I'm talking online. I don't know them in real life, but I know them online, and they're unemployed, or they're talking about their mental health problems. They've got anxiety. They don't like leaving the house. It's because they're low status. Mental illness is associated with low status with men. So it's completely different. Oh, mentally ill woman. Oh, she's vulnerable. I've got to protect her. I want to be in a relationship with her. I'm so protective of her. Mentally ill man. Oh, he's a loser. Ugh, flee, flee, flee. I don't want anything to do with him. I don't want to associate with him. His mental illness might be contagious. Women flee men like that, and men flee men like that. Like their mental illness is contagious. So, yes. So that's the one, the smear term usage of the term incel, which Roma Army's going to use a lot, Chloe's going to use a lot. There's the descriptive term, involuntary celibate, sexless. That it's not a good descriptive term because it's not describing what's actually going on. And then there's the ideological usage of the term for frustrated young men who are part of the incel movement online who believe in the Luxism ideology. And like again, the third usage of the term, number 3, is the only correct usage of the term. Anything else is either smear or you're being inaccurate. So anyway, long preamble, let's watch this fucking video.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about incels because these greasy motherfuckers run rampant in men's rights communities, and a part of me appreciates them because they make good advocates like myself work that much harder.
You're not a good advocate, and you just told a lie. There's hardly any incels in the men's rights community. You're just frankly lying, and I'm going to prove that you're lying, Chloe. You're lying. You're a barefaced liar, right? I don't owe you any politeness after you've done a video like this, very disgusting video, and you should frankly be ashamed of yourself. But you're lying. Now I'm going to talk about my experiences with incels and men's rights activists online, right? So I know you're full of shit, quite frankly. So I've actually interacted with incels and I've talked about men's rights with them. And the vast majority of incels have got zero interest in men's rights. Absolutely fucking zero. They don't give one flying fuck about men's rights activists. And they don't give a... And they think men's rights activists are losers. Okay? They look down on them. So what incels, ideological incels, I'm talking about ideological incels. See, this is why I have to do the preamble. Ideological incels, okay? They talk about getting a girlfriend. Society's got to be structured so they can get a girlfriend and get a wife. It's not fair. Oh, I'm a dead end genetically. There's something wrong with the shape of my jaw. Chad's stealing all the girls and all the women. Blah, blah, blah. They don't care about men's rights, right? They don't see men's rights as a venue to them getting a girl. And men's rights is not the venue for men getting a girl, getting a relationship. And a lot of men instinctively know this. And that's why a lot of men are not interested. They're not ethics based. They're not principle based. They're not they don't care about the health of society on a macro level. They don't care about that. They're solipsistic. They say, "Can I get a girlfriend? Do I? Yes or no?" That's all they care about. And if they talk about restructuring society or changing society, they want to change it so they get the girlfriend. So again, your claim that there's incels in the men's rights community is complete fucking horseshit, Chloe. You're full of shit. I just know from experience. Incels don't give a fuck about men's rights, right? Okay, that's it. So let's carry on.
So, speaking of working harder, today we're going to call out some of the ones that I found in this community. Some of you guys might be asking yourself, what the fuck is an incel? Because feminists, toxic ones, have really overused that word. If you
and you're misusing the word as well, okay?
Criticize a feminist on social media in any way, even ask them, hey, what do you think of this? They call you a misogynist and an incel. But incels are actually self-proclaimed. They are men, and incels...
Okay, so incels are actually self-proclaimed, all right? Okay, self-proclaimed. So you should use the term against people who are not self-proclaimed incels, right? Right, Chloe? Okay.
Stands for involuntarily celibate. Personally, most of us, we just say we're not really getting the dick right now. We're not getting.
Well, no, this is female privilege, and you tried to do this no dick nonsense, right? You're not getting a dick right now. There's no woman who's not getting a dick right now who can't get the dick. I've seen obese, walking human whales get good-looking boyfriends, tall, good-looking boyfriends, right? Okay, the bag lady could probably get dick if she wanted to, even if you, right? Okay, so this no dick nonsense. You got to cut it out. It comes from a position of female privilege, right? Sexual dynamics for men and women are completely different. There's no such thing as a femcel, period. Right? Okay.
Given the dick, you know.
Like if the male version of you, Chloe, the mentally ill single father, threatening to kill himself. First of all, there wouldn't be a single father. They would have the kids taken away from them. The male version of you, Chloe, would be sexless. You'd be a descriptive incel, right? And you'd probably be. And if you was a male, and you was the same mentality, you'd probably be an ideological incel because if you was a male and you're sexist, you'd be frustrated. You'd be going to the incel forums and you'd be ranting, Chloe, the male version of you. Okay.
No.
I'm not judging you about your mental health problems one way or the other. I'm just being descriptive here, quite frankly. The male version of you with your mental health problems would have their kids taken away from them and they'll be sexless and relationshipless. Okay?
We don't really put that type of onus on people, like we're just involuntarily getting the dick.
Well, what do you mean? Don't use the neutral term. We don't put that onus on people. There's involuntarily not getting dick. That's nonsense. You're doing a sleight of hand there, right? And I'm not going to fall for it. Okay? Right? Okay. And it's onus. Men get attacked for being incels, whether they're having sex or not, whether in a relationship or not. Married men, divorced men, I've seen them called and smeared as incels. I've even seen Johnny fucking Depp smeared as an incel. Like, Jesus Christ.
I guess giving the dick for incels. So yes, they have titled themselves this because they believe that women should just give them sex. So
Well, I think women should base their relationship choice and their sexual habit choices based on attraction only. Right? It should be attraction only. Am I attracted to this person? Yes or no? That's it. There should be no other criteria. There should be no money or status involved. Okay? But that's just not reality, is it? And there are some frustrated men who think women should give them sex, right? But most men are not like that. Not even most incels are like that, right? Some of them express frustration over it, but the vast majority of them don't just go, "Oh, women should just sleep with me." Most men don't think like that. Really, it's like a small minority. But there's plenty of women out there who are in relationships, who are having sex, that they still think that men should date women, fat women, that the men are not attracted to, right? And that's perfectly acceptable for them to say. Complete double standard, right? So look, if there was a way to go to women, hey, stop dating men you're not attracted to. Stop having relationships with men you're not attracted to. Stop getting married to men you're not attracted to, then divorce raping them, right? That if there's a way of telling women that and making them listen, I'll be all for it. But there's not, is there? Right? If there's a way of going, hey, women, just sleep with me because you find me attractive. Take it or leave it if you find me attractive. Because I do not want to have the status chase to get a relationship, right? I think I'm actually honestly very resentful about that, and it actually makes me angry if I think about it. I should not have to chase status to get a relationship where a do nothing woman can get any relationship she wants, more or less. It pisses me off, right? This is why I'm against hypergamy. But what can you do? Can you outlaw hypergamy? You can't do anything about it. So it is what it fucking is. Yeah?
So here in Canada, we actually have a huge problem with incels because they're actually considered domestic terrorists.
They're considered domestic terrorists by who? By who? They consider this is so fucking dishonest. This is appeal to authority fallacy. Who they consider domestic terrorists by? Like the same government that calls any information on the Ukraine war disinformation. They don't like. They call it a threat to democracy, alternative narratives. The same feminist infested government that passes feminist laws, right? In like the vast majority of terror threats that have been attributed to incels actually haven't been committed by incels. I think there's only like one or two that I can think of. Most of them that I've looked into have not been committed by incels. Like there was a recent one done by a white nationalist who was actually married, right? Okay, he was actually married, right? he tried to recruit incels. He went to incel websites and tried to recruit them. He failed to recruit anyone to his cause, and he tried to do terror attacks. He wasn't an incel, was he? Right? Right? Okay.
Because they take their anger from online forums to going out into public, running people over, and stabbing beautiful women and handsome men.
Yeah, citation needed. I don't believe you. This happened. This is an outlier event. But let me tell you something. What happened? There's a woman who was jealous in the UK, right? And she ran her boyfriend over and killed him. And she got off with a light sentence, or she got a suspended sentence. And the excuse she made is, oh, she wasn't thinking rationally. She was jealous. Women who are jealous, right? The legal system in the UK makes excuses for them when they commit violence against men and doesn't jail them. So let's look at that double standard, right? I can link to stories about that, right? Your claims I don't believe, like again, I don't trust the mainstream media. This is another problem as well. If the mainstream media does a story on a incel terrorist and they show this male committed terrorist acts, I'm not going to believe that it was an incel because the mainstream media has been caught lying countless times. You're lying right now, right?
Incels actually originated the term Chad for big, muscular, attractive men.
Chad doesn't exist, right? There are big, muscular, attractive men, but their version of Chad is a fictional fantasy. This is the ideological incels version of a Chad, okay? So, because this is how stupid these ideological incels are. So, and they're actually turning women into victims as well, ironically. So they think the vast majority of women ignore the average guy, right? And they sleep around with Chad as well. And Chad fucks their brains out. They fall in love with Chad, and then Chad dumps them and leaves them because Chad can get multiple women. And the woman has a heart broken by Chad forever and ever. And she's been ruined by Chad and polluted by Chad. That's the ideological incels worldview on Chad. It's complete fucking nonsense because this idea. Most women, I think, don't sleep around that much. They just do without because they look down on most men and they might hook up with the odd good-looking man now and again. But a lot of women just go sexless and have a low partner count. Women who have high partner counts are extreme outliers.
Incels are the same as femcells. They spew the same fear-mongering, generalizing, really extreme bullshit.
There's no such thing as a femcell. There's no voluntarily incelibate woman. And they're called feminists. And incels are not the same as feminists, right? So you're trying to muddy the waters by using a bullshit term that feminists actually invented. The term feminist is always invented by feminists. Right? You're muddying the waters. Oh, look, these incels, they're just as bad as this group of radical feminists. No, because incels don't have institutional power. Incels don't get laws changed. Like, when incels get laws changed, when they manage to get a law passed forcing women to date men, get back to me and complain to me then. Until that happens, which it never will, don't bullshit me. They're not the same, okay?
You will often hear incels spewing things like, women are the ones who control sex in a relationship.
And that's actually correct, because the person men demand sex more than women in relationships, so women can control the supply of sex, right? Women can do without relationships more than men. Men are more needy, therefore women are in charge in relationships. That's how it works, okay?
When in reality, those women are just manipulative, rapey women.
No, that's a non sequitur. In reality, those women are just manipulative, non-rapey women. That is women control sex in relationships. In reality, those women are manipulative, rapey women. That's a non sequitur. That doesn't make any sense. So women control sex in relationships. No, those women are rapey. I don't see how that makes sense. Either women control sex in relationships or they don't. Just calling those women rapey. What? That's a non sequitur. That's nonsense.
And men are consenting to sex as well. Whenever there's a case of a woman being in a
Men are consenting to sex as well when they can get it, right? But men demand it more than women. Women can withhold it. Okay?
bad relationship, specifically if she has children, you will always hear an incel spew some rhetoric like it is her fault for choosing the man.
Well, no, incels are actually, I disagree with the incels here. What the incels are doing wrong, they're blaming the man and turning the woman into the victim. Vast majority of single mothers are high conflict, personality disordered women, right? Single mothers by choice, right? Who I'm generalising here and I don't care because I don't know from life experience. They've driven away. They drive the men away by being hostile and violent from the relationship. Then they keep access to the kids, right? That's what most single mothers are. I'm sorry. This is why single mothers are narcissistic, child abusing failures on society. The highest risk factor for children is whether they're raised by a single mother or not. Okay? That's what single mothers are.
Which brings me to the men in this community. Posting a lot of very clear evidence of that father leaving his very sick child alone in the hospital. These are some of the comments that I got from some of the men in this community. This one was a
Here's my question for you, Roma. What makes what the father doing different from the paper abortion to which you advocated for? She's advocate for paper abortion, apparently. Do you support paper abortions and in turn the actions of the father, or do you not support the actions of the father and in turn are pro-life, such as myself, and otherwise to support women aborting and not to support men? Paper abortions would be hypocrisy. I'm not. I'm. Now, this guy's not an incel. He doesn't identify as an incel. He's pro-life, okay, and he says he's anti-child support as well. I'm pro-child support, okay. So she's calling him an incel.
very common one. Here's my question for you, Roma. What makes what this father is doing different from paper abortion, to which you have advocated for? Let me make my stance very clear here, because I don't want you weird fuckers to be twisting my words.
So he's asked him a question in good faith. I don't agree with his worldview exactly, but he's asked a question in good faith. He's pointing out inconsistency as she's calling him a weird fucker, and she's put him in a video about incels to show she's smearing him. So before she went in the video, oh yeah, feminists walked down the word incel and call everyone incel who ask people questions. She went, if you ask someone a question, you've asked a feminist a question, they'll just smear you as an incel. And she's doing exactly the same fucking thing in the same fucking video. That lack of self-awareness is staggering.
When I'm talking about paper abortion, I'm talking about a man having the right to walk away from a pregnancy the exact same way and within the exact same time frame that a woman is able to have an abortion.
No, Roma. No, Chloe. First of all, women, when they give birth, they can give up they can surrender their parental rights. They can just drop the baby off, right? Okay, they can just give it up for adoption. And in many countries, you can give it up for adoption without the father's consent. And he's not given default custody. He has to apply for adoption, right? Okay, so I'm sorry, men, to be equal, have to have the right of parental abandonment, and I support that right for parental abandonment. Okay?
I am not talking about walking away 4 kids later. That is
Women can walk away 4 kids later, so why can't men?
absolutely.
And also, most of the time, it's not men walking away. Okay? Parental abandonment in the past, before the modern era, before the 60s, before the computer database era, when it's hard to keep track of people, before that, parental abandonment, fatherlessness was a lot rarer, right? When the no fault divorce revolution hit in the West, that's when single fatherhood rates rose. It's obvious, and most relationships and most marriages are ended by women. So it's very obvious to conclude that single motherhood and fatherlessness is caused by women. They're the ones that choose it, right? Per Fult's law, the conditions of the family unit are determined by the women. Okay?
Absolutely fucking insane. Yeah.
It's not fucking insane. Or women can abandon their kids all the time, right? So men are little slave boys. They're forced to be responsible, but women can abdicate their responsibility, right? Yeah, mothers will just put the thing in a blender before it even gets a chance to take its first breath, or throw it in a dumpster to be eaten alive by rats. So forgive us for being insensitive to a father just leaving, because it's honestly far more reasonable and humane than what usually happens to them. So he's talking about the fact that mothers can kill their children and call it postpartum depression, and get off scot-free and not go to jail. And postpartum depression is not a real medical condition. It's a legal fiction invented by the UK legal system to get women off the hook for baby murder. That's all it is. So this guy, he's being very blunt, he's being very harsh, but he's saying the truth. So women kill their kids. So women who got the right for parental surrender can outright kill the kids anyway, just because they can't be bothered doing it, just because they feel like it, because they see the kid as their property. But fathers just wanting to walk away and not pay the bills for their kids, that's beyond the pale. Okay.
Yeah, mothers just put the thing in a blender before it even gets a chance to take its first breath, or throw it in a dumpster to be eaten alive by rats. So forgive us for being desensitized to a father just leaving, because it's honestly far more reasonable and humane than what usually happens to them. So this is like...
Yes. Yes, that sums up the double standards perfectly.
Very heavily reminiscent of that one tweet of that woman who says that any man who is falsely accused of rape should just take it because
No, 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 no. It's nothing to do with being. It's nothing to do with nothing to do with that. Oh, nothing like it. First of all, one saying I don't want to pay the bills for a child, right? I don't want to pay anymore. Fuck this. I'm out of here. And you can sort of maybe frame that as irresponsible, or that's a bit of an arsehole move. You can't you can't compare that to a false accusation of rape. They're incomparable. They're in a different universe, right? Okay, and you feel entitled to your ex's money. You're probably getting money off him, and you feel entitled to it. That's my guess. If I'm wrong, so what? I don't care, because you've told stories about your ex beating you and stuff that I just quite frankly don't believe. You're giving off borderline personality vibes and high conflict woman vibes and high social dominance orientation vibes to me, right? I'm not going to second guess myself. Okay, so let's look at this video here. What's it called? What one is it? Here it is. What Roma on why men must stop paying women's bills. I don't need to watch the entire video. It's only a short. Roma on why men must stop paying women's bills. So men must stop paying women's bills, but pay that child support, you little slave. Pay up. Pay that bill, you wage slave. Okay. So men must stop paying women's bills, except when I want them to pay my bills. Okay. Okay. Like again, like I tell you what, advocate for a pro-life position, stop women aborting, advocate for taking away female parental surrender, putting the children up for adoption, force women to raise the kids against their will. Okay, right? Advocate for that, and then you'll be consistent on your child support position, Chloe. But you're completely inconsistent. But I must be an incel for pointing that out, though, right?
It's nothing compared to what women have gone through. That is extreme. It is fucked up, and you bet that I've blocked these people. So here's the thing.
So you smear them as incels because they give you pushback to your bullshit, and then you block them. Okay.
Right? Much like femcells.
There's no such thing as femcells. I reject that term.
Incels do not have an ability to understand that maybe their own side could be wrong. They have really extreme
projection. You can't seem to understand that you're wrong. You're projecting. And also, you're calling people who are not incels, because you are definitely getting child support on some level, Chloe. You are definitely, because you get triggered hard when this subject's brought up. You feel entitled to the money, right?
extreme views, and in fact, those comments are heavily reminiscent of when the channel Think Before You Sleep, which I know a lot of you are going to get really triggered by me saying this, but this is really reminiscent of when he said this about me.
Chloe also suggests that men should date single mothers. Here is a video of her explaining how to weed out a bad single mother, when really the advice should be, don't date single mothers.
Great. Now, you know what? If you could bang a single mother with no commitment, you can get access to it, go for it. Go for it, right? Right? Just, so that's it. That's it. Bang them if you can. Just make sure you use a condom.
Unless her husband died in a tragic accident, a single mother is telling you that she does not know how to maintain a stable relationship. And
Think Before You Sleep is relationship obsessed, and he's a trad con, right? So he's framing it in the wrong manner. It's not whether the woman can maintain the relationship. Let's say there's a mother in a legitimately abusive relationship. There are abusive men out there. They're a tiny, tiny, tiny minority, men who are abusive towards women, but they do exist, right? Okay, so you should expect that woman to maintain the relationship, right? And I think, and it's not about maintaining the relationship either. This is a relationship obsession that Think Before You Sleep has. He's a mate guarder. In other words, that's not the issue. It's the problem is when the relationship breaks up, the single mother alienates the child and enslaves the father and makes him child support. When a relationship breaks up, 50-50 shared parenting should be the norm, and it should be about the interests of the child before the mother. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, so and hostile, alienating behaviour is incentivized by the state. That's the problem. So it's not, oh, this woman can't maintain a relationship. Oh, it's a problem because of reasons. Okay, so that framing doesn't make any sense. But he's not an incel, right?
Chloe is certainly an abuser of her 3-year-old daughter. If we just paid attention to herself for 5 seconds, she would see that she has done some horrible things to her daughter. The reason Chloe is a single mother is because she chose to have a child with a man who was so abusive that he almost killed her.
Okay, and this is think before you sleep, giving into false framing again. Because trad cons want to blame the man and turn women into victims, just like the incels do. This is so, like, he's going, she's a victim, she's a stupid victim, she deserves to suffer the own consequences of it, but she's still a victim. She's not a victim because there's a high probability that Chloe was not abused and she's just barefaced lying about it. Okay? I don't trust her because all the red flags are being set off. So, the lack of self awareness, talking about feminists smearing people asking questions, calling them incels, then she does the same thing herself. The non sequiturs, the body language, right? The entitlement to a man's money via child support. So she feels entitled to a slave. She thinks women are entitled to enslave men because of her children. My children need the money, right? When women are allowed to give up their parental rights and abandon them. Okay. I don't believe she was abused. I'm sorry.
It's starting to ring a bell. You bet. I've blocked every single one of those commenters because I don't want their weird ass comments taking up space on this beautiful ass community. For everyone.
Yeah. Do you have a? You got some ADHD problem, Chloe. Do you know what? Finish your fucking sentence before you do the fast cut. Okay, please.
One of those weird incel comments on my video.
Or one of those weird incel comments. So, the sort of guy that incels, from what I've noticed, because they're very solipsistic, ideological incels. Let me clarify that again. Are very solipsistic, so they don't tend to concern themselves with child support issues or what happens when the relationship breaks up and single mothers. They don't tend to concern themselves with that too much because they haven't gotten to that stage yet. They haven't gotten the goal yet. So what happens when it goes wrong is not their concern yet. Okay, because they want to get their one true love. They want their forever girl, basically. So they don't think about what happens when the relationship ends. So the average incel doesn't give a fuck about child support and father's rights and stuff like that. So again, you're just lying, Chloe. You're just smearing your critics.
There was easily 75 more comments of men who get it, of men who would do anything to be with their children.
And men are good little slave boys, in other words, right? I'm going to say something. I've been attacked for saying this. This is really triggered trad cons, right? Okay. Fathers have got a right to walk away from their kids. Period. They've got. It depends on the content. It might be an arsehole thing to do. It might be a mean thing to do. But they've got a right to do it. Okay. I don't. People don't have a right to a relationship if the other party doesn't consent to it on any terms whatsoever, right? That's actually very incel-like, isn't it, Chloe? You know, your entitlement. Okay, so a lot of time, when fathers do try and walk away, they're trying to escape from a situation where the mother's using a child as a hostage against them to manipulate them, to get more money out of them, to fuck them about. Sometimes these single mothers just do it out of sadism. The show, because they're high social dominance orientated, they're high conflict orientated, and they want to show they're in charge, and they want to cause the father suffering and misery. It's sadism, okay? And it might be advisable for some fathers not to fight to see their kids, but just to walk away. Just to walk away, right? Chloe, you're not entitled to a man's money just because he spunked in your womb, okay? You're not entitled to anything. And the state, in most Western countries, they pay for the kids to be raised. Single mothers, they get welfare, they get free housing, okay? They get the sort of stuff that single men would dream of getting, okay? And they still want child support. So there's no pretext for child support anymore. If you get welfare, there's no reason for child support to exist. And everyone knows that child support is not about child support. It's woman support. It goes on to what the woman wants to buy for herself. Doing her nails, getting a tan, buying shoes, buying handbags, right? And these single mothers, what they do, they get welfare, they get child support, and they get a new man to provide for her as well. So it's a triple jackpot. Boom. Yeah? Fuck child support. Anyone who's pro-child support is pro-slavery, and they're an absolute cretin. Disgusting. Yeah? You're pro-choice, abort the fetus, kill it. I don't want any responsibility. Die. But pay those bills, you man-slave. Pay my bills, man-slave. Pay for the kids. Fuck you. What a hypocrite.
of children, of fathers who wouldn't be there for them. So this is not the majority of men, but incels run rampant.
So you haven't proven they're incels, have you? Those comments, you've just at the most, they're probably trad cons. They're probably trad cons who don't pay child support, from what I can see. Right? That's it. Not incels. That's very nasty what you did. Very nasty. How dare you?
In men's rights communities, and I'm sure a lot of them are going to make themselves shown in the comments of this video. And you bet your big old bumhole I'm going to be blocking you too.
Well, you could block me, Chloe, but I'll be holding you to account for as long as I can, right? Because you're a malicious, hostile invader of the men's rights community. Okay? So you was only told politely by commenters not to do this incel shit before. People in the comment section gave you a chance and said this is wrong, you shouldn't do that. And you're doubling down and you're doing it again, Chloe. Yeah? Yeah? Well, fuck you.
Because I know that as a woman, one of my biggest beefs with feminism is their inability to call out the toxic bullshit that happens within feminist communities. And
Yeah, you're toxic, right? You call yourself an MRA. I'm calling out the toxic bullshit going within the MRM. You're toxic. You're bullshit. You're a nasty person. What you did is really nasty, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Really.
incels, they're probably the most damaging to men's rights communities.
No, there's hardly any incels in men's rights communities, and MRAs get smeared as incels anyway, no matter what they do. There's no ideological incels in the men's rights community, right? So there, boom.
Because anytime anybody hears, oh, men's rights, they automatically think incel.
Well, they think that anyway, right? Without any pretext. So why is it a concern? People are going to smear you anyway for something that's a lie. They just make something go, oh, incel. It's the same as a misogynist, right? Or like they do this all the time. Like, there was a time when the feminist mainstream media was talking about MRAs all the time. Then it died off, right? Because I think they really realised they were giving MRAs too much attention, right? There was a time where feminists were calling MRAs terrorists over and over again. They're calling them terrorists, domestic terrorists, all the time, right? It doesn't mean we have to turn around and worry about being domestic terrorists, right? Because it doesn't. Because we're not. Right, it's not happening. There's no domestic terrorism in the men's rights movement, and we're getting submitted to domestic terrorists anyway. Oh, Jesus Christ!
And misogynist. So I work my fucking ass off to change that. And
you make tons of ADHD, short attention span videos, and that's how you work your ass off. I'm sorry. Like to be fair to you, some of your videos are far better than what a lot of men's rights activists do. Not because you're so good per se, but because they're so bad. Right, and you do know how to frame some issues a lot better than a lot of MRAs do. But you're not really working your ass off, are you? Come on, you're not doing a real job. I'm sorry.
thank you for every single one of you who do that with me. Thank you.
Well, you're not doing it with me, are you? Right? Because you're my enemy. You're my enemy. Okay. Let's listen to this.
We're talking about something quite controversial. Should men have the right to have a say in abortions? Now, when I tell you that I stirred up controversy on TikTok, I mean I turned a woman who also advocates for men, like, away. Like, she decided to hate me because I said this. I made a video stating that men should have a right. It comes down to human rights. I seen a video earlier. I shared it with a lot of people. Thousands of people seen it. Of a man, like you could hear him just screaming and like begging his wife not to kill our baby, he said. Now when it comes to pro-life, pro-choice, I'm definitely pro-choice, as I like to call it.
So you're pro-killing, right? I'm not going to call it murder. I'm going to be technical because it's a lawful, legal killing. So you're pro-killing.
Pro mind your own fucking business.
Pro mind your own fucking business. Let's listen to context again. So I should have played it all.
Not to kill our baby, he said. Now, when it comes to pro-life, pro-choice, I'm definitely pro-choice, as I like to call pro mind your own fucking business.
So when it comes to your female supremacy, you get to decide whether life lives or dies. You're supreme. You rule supreme. This is your sphere of influence, right? This is your high social dominance orientation kicking in, right? So when it comes to that, hands off. You get to decide whether the baby lives or dies, right? Hands off, right? But the man wants to stop paying money right? Oh, no, he has to pay. Now, you support paper abortions, but but you support it in the same period as a woman has a right to abort. Now, I'm going to point out many problems with this, right? First of all, there's a problem with it on principle. Women have got a right to abandon after they give birth. Men should have that same right. There's another principle. Women lie about being pregnant all the time, and then they ambush the man with the pregnancy after she gives birth. There's even cases of women having a one-night stand with a man. She gets pregnant, doesn't tell him, tells him years later, as she ambushes him with backdated child support. So there's many different problems. So it shouldn't be a paper abortion within the time frame of a woman's pregnancy. What it should be is the man has a right to walk away at any time for any reason, right? He can walk away from paying for the kids because of fuck you, I feel like it. That's it. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me, right? Yeah, and this is context. Men don't have parental rights. They don't have 50-50 shared custody in most parts of the world. They don't have parental rights. The woman can gatekeep access to the kids. He's got no rights to see them, but he's still forced to pay. So he's got responsibilities. And the way child support debtors prisons work are absolutely fucking obscene. They're absolutely fucking obscene, right? Men could get hit. There's men who get hit with child support bills that are beyond their means to pay, and it's far beyond what is needed to support the kid as well. So it's just done out of spite and to get the woman more money. The man gets jailed, and in some US states, he's charged board. He's charged board rates for his time in child support prison and child support jail, and it's added to his child support debt. Okay? Right? And years ago, I knew a disabled man online in America. He's an American. He was a gaming friend. And this actually helped raise my awareness about child support. Because I always knew it was a problem, but I didn't realise it was this bad. And he had a limp. He couldn't walk properly. And I think he was unemployed. Okay? He got a woman pregnant. And he was hit by backdated child support. And one day, he just disappeared. He just disappeared. I never heard from him again. Never heard from him again. Right? And he told me about his problems with backdated child support. He was worried about it. He didn't know what was going to happen to him. And I never heard from him again. Boom. Never heard from him again. I knew him for quite a few months. Boom. He just disappeared. So, child support is an obscene fucking evil. And anyone who supports child support is evil. It's an obscene injustice. It's an obscene injustice. And you're obscene. And you should be ashamed of yourself, smearing critics as incels. Smearing critics as incels. Yeah? Yeah? Women are not entitled to men's money. Oh, yeah. Pay the child support, you slave. Oh, yeah. My body, my choice. I get to decide whether the life within me dies. I'm in charge. Pay up, you little slave. Fuck you. I'm sorry. There's just some positions that if a person holds them, they're just an absolute cretin. Like, if you're pro-child support, you're a cretin. Right? You're a cretin if you're pro-child support. I'm sorry. If someone goes to me, oh, I'm pro-apartheid, black people should have less rights than white people, you're a cretin. You're on the same level as that if you're pro-child support, because you're just pro-slavery. Yeah? Oh, I'm pro-fascist. Oh, I don't like democracy. We should bring the monarchy back, take away everyone's voting rights. Yeah? You're a cretin if you hold certain political positions, if you hold certain philosophical worldviews. You're just a cretin. And you're not worth engaging with. You're beyond the pale if you hold certain views. And anyone who's pro-child support is beyond the pale. The only person who's worse than that is a pro-cutter, right? There's a spectrum of lowlives and pond scum, right? On the very bottom of that spectrum are the pro-cutters, but a step above that are the pro-child support advocates. And you're on that list. You're very low down on the list of pond scum. And you know what? I should be probably stating this so strongly. Maybe this might put my video at risk. I might get a strike. But I don't give a fuck. Because this comes from the heart. This comes from the heart. Right? Your fucking female privilege. Telling men no dick. No dick. Don't give the women any dick. You know, don't pay their bills. Right? And using fucking crappy terms like femcel. Femcells don't exist. Calling men incels for disagreeing with you. Pointing out the contradictions in your worldview. Right? Yeah? You're a hostile, malicious hijacker. That's what you are. Yeah? Check your female privilege. Just get back to... look, unlike Think Before You Sleep, I don't give a fuck about your sex work, right? You can sell your mediocre body pictures on the internet for all you like. Yeah, you got a cute face, right, despite your tattoos, but your body ain't all that, Chloe. Ain't all that. You're mediocre. Just go fucking sell that. Sell that. Sell your porn. Do gangbangs. Do prostitution. Take 100 dicks a day. I don't give a fuck, right? I'm not triggered by that. In fact, you'd be better off doing that than doing your men's rights activism because you're more harm than you do more harm than you do any good. Yeah, because you got people cheering this bullshit on in the comment section, cheering this on, and then they fuck you all, fuck every single one of you. I'm uploading this. I don't care. Yeah, stick to sex work. Sell your ass for money, right? You're better off doing that. You know, it'd be more honest.